Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Launch Sequence podcast. This is a bit of a special episode. We have guests on all the time talking about different topics, but this one's a little more time constrained. I brought my good friend here, Corsair, in to talk about one of the bigger player-run events that happens in Star Citizen Daymar Rally, and also just kind of events in general around the space. How are you doing today, Cor?
Yeah, good man, good. Looking forward to this chat. Ever since you did the doco a couple of years back, we haven't really had a chance to kind of sit down and have a chat. So it's a really good opportunity. Obviously, with the Daymar Rally coming up again in a couple of weeks, it's a good time for us to recap and have a chat together. It hasn't really happened, so yeah.
Yeah. It's been a little while. That was so much fun to make. I
know.
did that with Imperial Geographic back then, and I'll be doing something else this year on my own, but great group of people over there. I know they still cover the event. A lot of fun working with them. So you are the head of Atmo eSports, who makes races like the Daymar Rally. You've got the Hurst and Hurt Locker, Stanton 7, and even now the Daymar Rally is official lore in the game, which is pretty cool. You've been pretty busy with all of this. How has that been, kind of balancing it throughout the year?
Yeah, it has become more intense. Obviously, we started with the Daymar Rally and having that one event for the entire year was a lot easier to manage my time back then, and the plan, after it kind of got a bit of traction, the plan was to kind of progress to doing quarterly events, which we pretty much have done with the Hurst and Herlocker, Stand 7, and soon to come Fight or Flight. So we're going to reach that, that dream of having the 4 major tournaments per year and then just build on those per year. So that's kept us extremely busy. And we have had more interest of late with like Toby Gaming approaching us for an activation, which we had to do in between. So it's all super exciting stuff, but yes, it does keep us very busy. Obviously, Crucian, you would see him on all of our streams, and he's a partnership manager for us and has, got merch set up and things for us as well. So he, in the background, does a lot of work with me. So he is also very busy with his job as well as trying to do this. So having 2 jobs, basically, this is definitely a second job. As much as I love it, I love the organizational aspect of it. A couple of kids thrown in there as well does keep us very, very busy. So
yeah, I mean, as somebody who is just kind of starting to do this as a full-time thing and is not doing anything else, my hat off to you for putting together all of this and continuing to work a job as well. And like you said, with kids and obviously just all the normal drama of life and everything going on right now, must be crazy. Yeah. So we as a community really appreciate it, because I know a lot of people love the Daymar Rally, but it kind of, for many people, it's always been a thing. It's just part of Star Citizen, and even many of the new people who came on in the last year or two might be hearing about it for the first time now. But how did it all start? How did the Daymar Rally become a thing, and why in Star Citizen?
Yeah, it was when I joined Star Citizen as a backer in 2016. I think I kind of started, got really excited, got a ship. Kind of took a little bit of a break from it, came back in 2018 when I saw the moons coming in, when Daymar was coming in. Mm-hmm. That got me excited to get back into the project, and I kind of haven't, I've been here ever since that kind of began. And then when I saw, the Cyclone was kind of on the roadmap at that point, because they had a full year roadmap out. That was when they were extremely... that's when they had a lot of stuff on roadmaps back in the day. They had server meshing listed to release, and I was like, okay, well...
all the professions and
Yeah, and then when I saw the Cyclones, okay, well, that's pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited about that. And then I just thought of the idea, like pretty much straight away. It was on like early, I think it was around the 9th of February 2018. I posted a Reddit post, and I actually put the website up and did a rule book within a few days, which was much smaller than it is now. I think it was like a 8 to 12 page rule book. Now it's about 36 pages. I think it's actually 42 pages. So it's much larger now. But when I first started, 3 days, I did the rule book, I got the website up, I did Reddit posts, and then it just kind of got its traction. And I think it kind of became popular because, that at that time when the moon and the buggies were coming out, I'm sure a lot of other people were like, well, what can we do with this kind of stuff as well? Yeah. And I think that got some traction, but also the fact that we gave it basically a year's worth of breathing space before we actually put it on, I think that was extremely advantageous and a really good decision. So we spent the entire year marketing it, doing little things, with the community as well to kind of promote it. Even though back then I didn't really see it, didn't really feel like promotion. We were just spending time with the community, doing these little things, but in actual fact, it was promoting the event, marketing the event for that whole year before we actually went ahead and did it. So we also needed that time for Cloud Imperium to release some of the tech that they put on that schedule as well before we could actually do it. So we did need to wait that time, but that period of time I think made it what it is today. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty happy with that.
So you kind of, I mean, you came up with the idea and sort of just jumped right in. Like you said, you
Yeah,
came up with it and
yeah.
started making
I was
posts.
I was extremely back 2018, like 2016. When I first joined the project, I was extremely excited about the project. So I did want to do something. I'm an organizer. That's kind
Mhm.
of my background. That's what I do with my work. I kind of wrangle people, and this was that as well. And I kind of wanted to do that within Star Citizen. So yeah, it was kind of natural for me.
That's awesome. The game seems to attract people like that. People who want to go out and
It does.
make a difference. Have you done that in other games before?
I did in World of Warcraft. I had a 400 plus member Oceanic guild, which I
Okay.
ran, had a board. We did that for a few years. We were like the second largest Oceanic guild on the servers. So
Well,
yeah, I have done it before actually in gaming. Yeah, yeah.
was that did that come from an esports kind of idea as well, or is the esports angle new?
Well, I was much younger when we did the World of Warcraft guild, and that was just fun. But
Yeah.
once again, I just wanted to organize, have a community. So shout out to the Midnight Mercenaries. That was the name of the guild back in the day. So if you're a member of that, feel free to hit me up. But yeah, no, that was not an esports idea. Initially, the Daymar. Well, actually, that's not true. I did think about what Cloud Imperium were going to release, and I didn't think that they would release a race like this. So that's another reason why I picked the rally, because I didn't think that they would, like Arena Commander, I'd never thought that they would actually try and do something like this. So my idea was in the future, even when the game's released, if Cloud Imperium wanted to, get into racing, I just didn't think that they were going to do an endurance race, and that's kind of
Right.
another reason why I picked it as well. So yeah,
Okay. And how'd you guys come up with Daymar?
Daymar was the closest thing to Dakar. So it was, the desert moon and all that terrain.
Okay. Yeah.
The support vehicles come straight from Dakar. The checkpoints, which we're going to expand on, that's kind of a Dakar thing. If you look at our trophies, they're definitely a homage to the Dakar Rally trophy, the physical trophies that we do. So yeah, that was the idea. The endurance rally was very heavily influenced by Dakar, and I'm watching it at the moment, which is cool because it's on at the same time. That was an actual accident, but it actually starts like the day. It's actually on now, but sometimes it actually starts just around the Daymar Rally. So,
Huh.
it's so yeah, definitely a huge influence was the Dakar Rally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Um. Well, I wanted to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I wanted to get back to you mentioned about the checkpoints and kind of. I already know just being involved in the race the last couple of years. I know how things have changed every year, and you guys made a pretty big change this year. Do you want to talk about the change that you've made to this race and kind of how you make those decisions year to year on what you include in the race, the checkpoints, uh,
Yeah.
the ships that you have in there, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so even in the last 2 years, we've had to make a couple of changes. Last year, we had to make a change with the finish line. The finish line, some new planet tech came in and they did an update to the moons, and Wolf Point used to be the original finish line, and it's now Kudra Ore, the station, not the mine, just to not be confused. But if we would do Wolf Point, it was going to extend the race to quite a significant amount. So
Hmm.
we moved the finish line to make it just a little bit shorter. It's still an endurance rally at 500 plus kilometers. It's 510 kilometers. So it's still an endurance rally, but the Wolf Point was going to make that even further. So when we're thinking about entertainment of the rally and just things that we do and change, we always think about the broadcasting, kind of the entertainment value for the spectators. So and there's still a lot more to come, because obviously a lot of the mechanics are still coming to be included, so there's still a lot more to come. But
Right.
when we make these decisions, we kind of think about the spectators as well as the competitors, We just kind of think about the whole thing as a a broadcast and a entertainment based decision. So that's why we did that. We also recently converted the rover division into the truck division, because originally I
Right.
thought that the Lynx rover was also kind of announced way back in the day, and I
Hmm.
thought, okay, there's going to be two rovers in this division, so we can call it the rover division. But surprisingly, the Anvil Spartan has come along, and the Ballista as well, which we tested the Ballista, but the Ballista is just too potent against support craft, because you can fight support craft as a ground vehicle, as a driver, and it's just annihilating support craft. So we couldn't include that. But the Spartan, if you do the meta right, and I won't say, but if you do the meta right, you can actually make it quite a competitive a competitor to the rover, to the Ursa rover. So with the Spartan coming in, it's not a rover, so we kind of modified the name of the division now. It's called the truck division, which is actually much closer to what the Dakar Rally has as well. They have basically a truck division. So we've included another vehicle. We're going to keep adding vehicles. The idea was to have that kind of option and choice. We want to have that variety in all of our divisions, not just this one. So
Hmm.
we got two bikes in the bike division. We've only got the Cyclone really, but with the G12 coming out, which is also a rover technically, its speeds will actually be closer to the Cyclone. So you'll probably see the G12 go into the buggy division. So a couple of changes, and it's going to keep happening. Obviously, medical beds have come in as well. So that was a huge thing for us, because it's actually more of a problem than a solution, because we had to avoid people using medical based support craft. We didn't want people to be able to respawn on their craft, and we couldn't track that. So like tracking a lot of the things and the rules that we have in the game is also a factor, and that was one that was going to be a big problem. Although Quantum Jump Medical, our medical service provider, they're doing little packs, like medical packs, all your stims and food and water and stuff like that, and you can
Hmm.
actually pre-purchase those packs and bring those packs along. They organize that with each of the teams, and they meet them up the day before, give them a pack that they've ordered, and then they can bring that pack out into the field and use that pack in the field. So
Huh.
as far as medical goes, that's what we've included for medical. The beds, not so much. The healing tools will come into it as well. You'll be able to use healing tools, because you can support your team with supplies and utility like that. So yeah, there's lots of things changing all the
Yeah,
time. Yep.
yeah. The way that these things change sounds like it just it calls for constant updates and just staying on top of the game.
Yeah.
Everybody who plays the game knows that like the experience you get at the beginning of the game or the beginning of the year is not the same as the end of the year. For you guys, that makes a huge difference because you're throwing this massive event, and I'm sure many people know, but the way that updates kind of work with Star Citizen leaves us at the end of the previous year with a pretty big patch that could go either way, but it's become kind of customary that you get another patch right before the event goes on. Is that
Yeah.
something that you guys ever have communication with CIG so you know what to expect?
Yeah, so basically, I kind of give them a pre-warning of how many servers we're going to populate. For instance, this one is going to be 13, which is pretty much the same as last year. 13 servers. So in my mind, when I first saw that we were hitting those kind of server marks, because it kind of doubled each year up until now. Now it's kind of
Hmm.
like stationary. I kind of just message. We've got a couple of community contacts. Message community contact, just kind of tell them the kind of numbers that we're poking, so that they can kind of help us out. And when you talk to CIG, it's kind of like questions and then hint answers. And what I mean by that is that they don't necessarily give you direct answers. They kind of just hint at things that you've asked for and kind of give you the nod, but not so much give you direct responses. And I kind of guess that they're doing that to just be fair to the community and not treat us slightly better, even though they do definitely help us, because it is known, and I have asked, and it is known that yes, that patch just before the Daymar Rally, especially last year and the year before, was specifically for this, so that we can have a fairly stable tournament across the 13 servers. And they do kind of watch our servers, and I've been told by the community team that there's a lot of Daymar Rally fans at Clan Imperium. So yeah, they're definitely big supporters of the rally, and obviously putting us into law would kind of tell us that as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
which was massive news for us. That's a big win and kind of a dream, because that was that was kind of the one thing I wanted to do. One of the biggest things that was, be part of the Star Citizen lore, and we've achieved that. So, obviously Daymar Rally is now, we were the Daymar Rally team, and we've kind of moved to Atmo eSports over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. So it wasn't initially the plan, but that's kind of where we've progressed. But they've supported us the whole time, and we have IP discussions with them a little bit as well. And just if I need some prizes, we kind of ask for a couple little digital prizes, which they always include for us. So they support us every time with that. They're a good team. They're a good team. Ulf in particular, I talk to a fair bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I think most people who do any sort of community-based stuff and has to work with CIG, while sometimes, obviously like anybody else, they might have some trouble getting back in touch with you, but they've always been super open to working to help better the community. And
definitely
the Daymar Rally has been one of the biggest signs of that. What kind of other things, and I'll let you get a little creative with it, excited about it, but you're talking about like medical supplies in this endurance race. I start thinking of like these really cool round world kinds of things, like 5 years down the line, but where people can camp out and take this really long distance kind of race. What kind of stuff are you dreaming about?
Yeah, like even with the Daymar Rally, the initial idea was to always come back to Stanton with the Daymar Rally, because we started there. It would be good to have a home for the Daymar Rally, and obviously the moon type is like Dakar, so I don't think that Daymar Rally will change that much as far as location. Distance wise, all comes down to the broadcast. So if vehicles got faster, we might see the kilometers extend, but I think that that's probably at its limit for kind of its distance and its locale. I'm going to talk about the other tournaments in a minute, but the Daymar Rally has still a lot more to come, and we haven't seen its complete fruition yet. So when repair comes in and refuel comes in, and we can have server meshing, so I don't have to have so many staff spread across 13 servers, and we can support the event more. We can have all the checkpoints that we dreamed of in there as well. So there's still a lot more to come for the Daymar Rally as far as those kinds of things. Stanton 7 was kind of our next big project, which we do a lot of work with Bad Token Race Club. They did a lot of course research to get those courses done, so they did a lot of work in that regard. That the Stanton 7 I think the Stanton 7 is definitely going to expand across the entire system. You're going to see not only 7 races in Stanton, but I think we're going to spread the 7 races across the entire, all the systems. So, you're going to see that change quite considerably. We're going to have all kinds. With Crusader coming in as well. We want to do races there too, because it's quite a cool environment to do races in, and we've already set up a couple of practice runs there throughout the course of the year too. So we want to expand there, and then once more systems come in, we're going to expand to those too. So Stand 7's got a lot of flexibility, and we're probably going to change the name of it a little bit too to associate more locations. So that has a lot to go as far as going across different races in different places. So. That one's coming. Hearst and Her Locker. Yeah, Hearst and Her Locker has got a lot of scope to change quite a bit, being a battle royale, and having, like, if a moon comes out with a much more perfect crater, deeper crater, wider crater, something more suitable for the military division, expansion on the kind of vehicles that are included in now the 2 divisions. The medical side of things with Hearst and Her Locker is quite important too, because now with the Hearst and Her Locker, if you register for the event in the future, well, we're seeing it now, death has much more of an impact. So when you register even for the Daymar Rally, because you can definitely not make it through the Daymar Rally, it's quite difficult. But when you register for one of our tournaments, you have to realize that now there's this high risk element to get those prizes, to get those physical prizes like the trophy. You're going to have to risk your life to be included in our tournaments. Hearst and Her Locker is a perfect example of that, being a battle royale and you having, being the only remaining member competitor in the tournament. A lot of people have to die to make that happen. So, so with medical, we've been talking heavily about how we can support down players. We actually already had a complete plan ready for the last one, but it didn't go live before the last one. It was still in PTU
Hmm.
with all the medical additions. So Quantum Jump Medical have a close support craft and bed for respawns, but also have a few Pisces running in and out to try and revive down players and get them up to a point where they can take them back to the carrick and do the healing process as well.
Hmm.
So they've got a full structure for that too. So that's going to come next year as well, which is going to keep them very busy. Fight or Flight is going to have similar issues, being a 20v20 org
Yeah.
tournament. That's going to have similar impacts as well as medical goes. But mate, like constant iteration, constant innovation. Yeah, there's so much of that to come.
Right. Right.
Plenty. Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they think of esports, to be honest, a lot of people probably don't even consider the word esports, right? When they think of Star Citizen, this game's in development, couldn't possibly do anything like this. But when
Yep.
a lot of people think of esports, they're thinking shooters, MOBAs, games where you're kind of fighting other people.
Yep.
You guys are sticking generally to like races and events like that. You have the Hearst and Hurt Locker, like you said, but
Yep.
do you have any sort of plans to expand into some more traditional styles of esports, or is it
Yeah,
what's your
definitely,
view?
definitely. Not initially, but now I think we definitely do. The Toby event that we did in November, the Toby Gaming Clash, Fight or Flight Toby Gaming Clash, that was a 2v2 dogfighting tournament.
Hmm.
The initial plan was to actually do that in Arena Commander, but Arena Commander was not playing ball. We couldn't do private lobbies. We had population issues to get the amount of people in as far as staff and bits and pieces. So Cloud Imperium kind of mentioned that yes, it's not quite ready yet. It is going to come. So we would probably move that tournament to Arena Commander and do it in a much more stable environment when it's ready. That it'll also speed up the tournament process, make the broadcast better, because obviously that tournament was extremely long and even longer than we anticipated.
Hmm.
It was probably longer than the Daymar Rally broadcast. It was absolutely enormous. So putting that in Arena Commander will just shorten the broadcast time, considerably, and that was the initial plan. There's no even though we did set up fairly well for the Emergent style, setting up an Arena Commander is going to be a lot quicker. So doing that in Arena Commander was a plan. Moving Fight or Flight to Theaters of War is also a possibility as well, to have the same kind of control and setup times. So yes, we want to move to some of the tools. Like Daymar Rally is going to stay Emergent as long as it lives. I think Hearst and Hurt Locker will be the same. They're
Hmm.
definitely very emergent tournaments, but I think Fight or Flight, the dog fighting style, the 20v20 org style stuff, that's gonna move to the tools that Cloud Imperium have released. Yeah.
That is exciting. It's
Yeah.
it's it's definitely something, like I said, that I didn't think too much about in Star Citizen, but they've always talked about the idea of having like races and stuff, and definitely broadcasting them in game and allowing people to bet on
Yeah.
them and all these kinds of things. It's very cool.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of organizations that already use Arena Commander and the racing tool and and do their own tournaments all the time. Like it
Hmm.
happens very
Yeah.
very regularly. And initially I wanted to stay away from that because I'm like, everyone's doing that. I don't need to do that. Like Daymar Rally, Hearst and Her Locker, we have to control it. We use our camera team, which we love working with, and all of our volunteers that help us out. Doing the Emergent events has always been just fun and has that kind of role play aspect where you can be like you can actually work within the game, kind of like have a job. So I've always loved that aspect of it. So initially it was always going to be that, but I think we're progressing to a point where some of our tournaments can definitely use the tools that Cloud Imperium have released for us. But yeah, man, it's super exciting, and I think esports, it crossed my mind a little bit. Like I said before with the rally, I didn't think that Cloud Imperium would make a race like that. So obviously making that statement is kind of saying, yeah, this isn't something Cloud Imperium is going to touch, and it's something that we can keep. And I was kind of thinking, if it's going to be, if it is going to be a popular tournament, then we would kind of get to keep it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
but with esports and the Cloud Imperium tools like Arena Commander, they could have their own esports division and do all their own stuff within that, and
Right.
that's always possible. So there's a conundrum for us there. But I think they respect us a little bit. So hopefully we'd be able to work alongside them in the future as far as having our tournaments and their tournaments and whatever they end up doing with esports.
Right. Yeah,
So
because
yeah,
they did start doing scramble races a couple
they
years
did.
back that
They did. Yep.
didn't really take off. Did you ever get to do any of those?
I did. Obviously, I wanted to test it and feel it and
Hmm.
understand it. Personally, it doesn't have any of the appeal that the rally has for me. Yeah, it was. I think maybe they were maybe attempting to test out what it was like for them to release something uh, kind of similar to what we do, because it does have an emergent vibe. I kind of feel like we did bring that on a little bit
Yeah.
when it was released, and it was kind of at our peak start when we were releasing videos, and they were putting us on their weekly shows, and we had quite a bit of content getting mentioned by them. And then the Scramble races come out, and I kind of thought, oh, is that because of us? I don't really know, but it kind of felt like it was, because it has an emergent vibe to it. So yeah, but no, you're right. It didn't really take off. I didn't enjoy it as much as what we do. It doesn't have the community aspect that we have.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I
that's
think
kind of how.
they probably, I mean, if that was the case, and they were maybe saying, hey, they've brought attention to racing, maybe we should get into
Yeah,
that. And then they did it, they saw, and they were like, you know what, they've got this. Like,
yeah,
we'll let Atmo
yeah.
take care of this, because you guys
Hopefully,
really, you created a formula and it works. And I've kind of always wondered, like, what is CIG going to do when it comes to racing? Because now, you've got these very solidified events going on. People know them, they expect them, they love them. How is
yep.
CIG going to fit racing into the overall game so that people can still enjoy that and not step on your guys' toes?
Yeah, I will go back to a little bit what I was saying earlier about like when we contact Clan Imperium, it is very structured for them. They do not give away a lot of information,
Right.
but at the same time, they support you considerably, and they'll every now and then hint to you about, they don't give you any information about what's getting released. They never ever, they're very tight-lipped as far as that goes. So
Yeah.
I've never really heard of anything that they are going to do in the future. Even I've asked direct questions about Theaters of War and what they're going to do with it, and they are tight-lipped on any kind of future releases with us. They don't want to have any information get released, so I completely understand that. I wouldn't expect that. It's not fair to the community.
Right.
So I've never heard anything about what their plans will be as far as that goes. But at the same time, they have kind of helped point people like Toby towards us, and I think Thrustmaster as well. Like when they're trying to do, kind of advertising, which is kind of cool, which is huge support for us. So which kind of says to me a little bit, I have no idea what they're planning. They haven't had that discussion with us. So, but them kind of sending people like Toby and Thrustmaster our way to have conversations is interesting to me, because we're doing the tournament and they're kind of saying, look, hey, go and see these guys if you want to, get connected. And then we've gone on, to have cool conversations about esports with Toby and
Mhm.
Thrustmaster, and have huge discussions about that, because they're heavily involved in those industries. So that's kind of all happened a little bit. Obviously, you've seen it with what we did with the Toby Gaming Clash, and Thrustmaster supported that event as well.
Yeah.
We hope to do more stuff with them in the future, and any other companies that want to do stuff with us. It was a really good experience for us. So Clan Imperium have been involved with us as far as that goes, but I've never heard anything else that they plan to do with esports, and I hope that Crucian and I and the team can hopefully be involved and help out in some way in the future. Hopefully they don't just cut us out, but obviously with emerging gameplay, that's quite difficult for them to do.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd ever lose the Daymar Rally. They've obviously said they're supporting us with the law, so I think that they would allow
Hmm.
us to continue in that space. Maybe the emergent space only. Maybe we'll see. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting topic for me, man. That
Yeah.
one. Can't wait to see what they do.
It's very. I've never really heard of MMOs being that big when it comes to esports generally, because a lot of times it's a win or lose situation, and in MMOs a
Yeah.
lot of times people just don't want to die.
Well, it's not easy to do. You've got to create everything yourself, right? All the camera crew, the checkpoints, everything we do, the course is set up by us. It's not a simple thing to do. It takes a lot of work, which is another reason why I think we've stuck around, because people have done it before.
Hmm.
Um, I think we kind of broached some new ground with emergent esports. I think that term emergent esports is pretty fresh to us. It may have been done before, but you'd never really see it, like you
Yeah.
said, with
No.
MMOs. But other people also in Star Citizen have attempted to do it. Sometimes people tell me, "Oh, we did that back in the day." I'm like, well, why aren't you still doing it now? Like people just haven't had the staying power to do it year in, year out. Granted, we had some luck with Daymar Rally back at the very start, but at the same time, I spent a year putting that together. I just didn't do a tournament that was in the next month, and we've only just announced it. So, I did things in a different way back in the day. And you have to stay with it. We're almost reaching 5 years of the Daymar Rally, and if you quit, you won't be successful in this space. So yeah, that's what we've done. We've just stuck with it.
Yeah.
Trusted the game. Obviously, we've had some support, which helps our morale, which is a huge thing, because I'm sure morale is difficult for people that don't get a little bit of recognition, because that does help your morale. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, that's kind of the space that we're in and waiting for.
I think you nailed everything. The timing is perfect. January, people are looking for something to do, get excited about.
Yep.
And like you said, you brought together like so many teams of people who specialize in what they do, and just kind of taking off with it. I think one of the things that really stood out, besides that it wasn't linked to an org, so people who wanted to participate didn't feel like they were getting outside of their group to get in, but also the branding and the advertising and marketing, I guess. And you said, it didn't necessarily feel all like that, but you guys got arts and crafts, I think, and Hazgaha to do a lot of their
definitely
always beautiful work, and that really stood out, and I think helped people remember the name.
Yeah, that was huge for us. Hazgaha coming on, I just approached him and said, "Hey man, can I use your images?" Like he does with everybody. He just lets everyone use his images, as long as you're kind of saying that they're his images, which is fine. So he allowed me to fill the rule book with those, and then I just did the art around it, the graphics and the rules and whatnot. So that was a huge help. You're correct. And then we did ask Hazgaha and Arts and Craft. Well, it was just Hazgaha back in the day. But he works with Damn Shames and Utho Riley, and they work as a team. Even back then, they worked as a team, and they produced the first video. So we gave, that was within that year as well. So we asked him at the start. He gave us the trailer before the first one. So that was all part of the plan, to have that kind of get the juices flowing for the community, and like here's some buzz stuff to watch. And Hazgaha was the perfect person to ask. And back in the day, maybe I wasn't that sure, but he had been around for a bit then. I'd seen his work. It was obviously the best. So to go and ask the best guy, hey, do you want to do this? And I think we kind of, we take up a lot of his time to do video content. So I'm very grateful that he's still with us doing videos for all of our tournaments. He's the last 4 logos for us. Hazgaha does all that for us as well. So from a graphic design background, he's done our logos except for the rally one. So he's heavily involved in what we do. I love him to death. He's an amazing and generous person. The promotion and material that we produce wouldn't be as successful if it wasn't for him. We also have Mr. Ibra,
right?
On the team. He's been basically an original member. He's still with us. Yeah, he produces a lot of phenomenal images. Corsair 62 back in the day was producing images for us, and he had some amazing Daymar based images, and I loved them. He was phenomenal. Yul Keke has been involved with our Fight or Flight promotions. They look fantastic. So the community is a huge help as far as marketing material goes. I will also say, with the the popularity and the buzz that created from the rally, and why people are interested in it too, I think the team aspect of it as well is huge. Like, you don't just race as an individual, you have a support team, and you have the upwards of 4 people, and I think that was a huge win for us to include that. So you couldn't just race on your own. You could bring mates and do a whole thing and have 4 people and do a day of it, or you can have a few teams and bring them. I think that was a big part of what made the rally popular as well. I think without that, if it was just individual racing, I don't think it would be nowhere near as popular as it is now. I think that's a huge part of it.
And you guys do practices all throughout the year, which kind of, people would look at that and be like, hey, this is just more fun to be had. So you keep that sort of, that reminder, this is coming up.
Yeah, no, that's very true. But we have become an organizational hub. So many organizations are connected to our comms platforms, and you get to meet so many people. And you just see all these org tags in your list, and it's, wow, we're just a bit of a hub for organizations. Even if it is just a team that's formed within an organization, it's not necessarily the leaders of organizations. It's just teams that have formed from an org and joined us, obviously. But it is cool to see it as a bit of a hub.
It's special, man. I've never seen anything like it in gaming. I think it's very cool.
Man.
Uh, let's see. So going back into, let's see, what was I gonna touch on after this? I'm sorry, I keep losing my spot. Um, we were just talking about the. Oh, I'm sorry, I've dropped it. I've dropped my line of
You're right,
thought.
man. All
Um,
good.
let's get back to the Daymar Rally. So this has been running for 3 years now.
This one coming up is the fourth one, but technically it's almost our fifth year when we actually announced it because we had that year before to promote it. So, yeah, this is our fourth rally. This is going to be our fifth year basically doing it. 2 years as almost 2 years as Atmo eSports. It'll be 2 years in April as Atmo eSports. So yeah. So we're almost half a decade, which is pretty cool. We might have another half a decade to go. But the plan is to stick with it until release, and
Right.
I think we pandered to about 50 to 60,000 kind of dedicated Star Citizens. I would probably put it at that, based on when Cloud Imperium put out a poll. You kind of see the activity on the poll, and when they release the numbers on the poll, you can kind of gauge by that that's the active community. So that's been a good hint, and obviously our viewership is also another hint. But obviously we don't reach everybody. But
Yeah.
I'd say that's kind of the audience we're pandering to. But when the plan is to kind of wait till all the 3 million accounts click online and see where we're at that point. So we've got staying power, and I think I've got team members like Crucian, obviously, Mr. Ibra, Papa Freedom, Diva Jafan. A lot of those members have stuck with us from the get go, and stayed with us. And I think if we have that kind of staying power within the team, then we can make it to game release. So yeah, it's
Great
exciting,
people
man.
too. Great people.
Super,
The
so many
name.
more. There's heaps more, but
Yeah. But like
yeah.
every one of the names that you keep naming of people who have been helping, I'm like, I've had great encounters with each one of those people. I've loved working with Atmo. Um,
Yeah.
so in that time, all these things, it's been growing, it's been getting better, things have been going well. What is something in the event that has been kind of like a thorn in your side, something that you really want to get figured out, but you guys haven't been able to quite
Oh
get yet?
man. Yeah, we figuring out. We always solve our problems. We've never even a practice run. We've never stopped. We've run every practice run every
Hmm.
fortnight for the whole time. We've never had something that stopped us from having a race ever. Not once. I think I was sick once, but I think we still did it anyway. So, we that's a huge part of what we do is not quitting. That's massive. The other massive thing is obviously server meshing is a huge strain on our resources. We have to spread our team out across 13 servers for the rally, which is extremely difficult and
Yeah.
stressful. But once server meshing comes in, we can consolidate the team into one server. We can run all our checkpoints. We can have better coverage. We can have better rule checking and officials doing their job. We can do so much more with server meshing. Not only that, it's a strain on security, obviously, because we have to have so many people involved across the servers. So the dream is like having this blockade around Daymar of security, and then all the races racing together, kind of like you kind of see the Dakar as well. They kind of do that, even though they do stage time starts,
Hmm.
but they all race on the same field at the same time. So
Yeah.
having all the divisions combined and seeing that sheer number of teams starting, like 145 teams starting at the start line, which will obviously be a different setup than what we have
Oh
now,
man.
but
Yeah.
it'd be amazing just to see the sheer number, even if we break it down in stages. But even if you combine all the division, or like one division onto one server, it's still a hell of a lot of teams on one location. So server meshing puts a lot of stress on us. That's probably the biggest thorn we have, and we look forward to consolidating the entire team.
That's
But
fair.
shit, it's going to be one heck of a big party launch, that one, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I
So,
really do hope we get to see that. I hope that's the future of
yeah,
server meshing because that would be
I
incredible to
know,
see
I know.
a
Yeah, I
race
think
that
we're
big.
gonna. Yeah, I think with the initial iteration of server meshing, we might still have some of that difficulty, but
Right.
fingers crossed in the future they can overcome those problems, and I really think that they will.
Yeah.
And we can have a slightly more genuine server meshing experience. Yeah,
Hmm.
but that's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be real good.
You mentioned security, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget about with these events is that Star Citizen by default is is an open game where people can go and do whatever they want. So clearly, Daymar Rally needs to have some robust security. You want to talk about how
Yep.
that's kind of changed throughout the years?
Yeah. Well, I just, I completely welcome the whole experience, the whole
Yeah,
roleplay experience. It's emergent esports, and I think people, teams have in the past, not many, but some teams get annoyed when they get destroyed by a pirate. But technically, it's all part of it. Just think of them as Tusken Raiders. Basically,
exactly.
just think,
We're
yeah,
pod
they're just.
racing.
Oh, exactly. So it's that element, and it's in the rule book. So you shouldn't get annoyed if you do get attacked. It sucks, but it is your job to avoid getting killed, to an extent. So we don't have private security teams, which has been broached a couple of times. We wouldn't be able to control the population of the server, so that's why we
Right.
have our security teams that we can actually organize, populate, know how many people we have per server. If we were to release that to teams so they can protect themselves, it would be mayhem. So at the moment, at this point, we use security teams, Walkers of Sigma, Das Cartel, Mpex, and a few other affiliates as well for this year, to protect our servers. It's a big task, and we dream about that blockade where you've got, the capitals, ships, and hammerheads just all surrounding Daymar, all the possible entry points, and then you're going to have the pirates having the same kind of experience. It's actually one of the biggest PvP experiences of the year. So you
Right.
don't hear about it because we don't focus on it, but there's across all servers there's upwards of 250 odd combatants happening in the background that you don't even get to see. There's an absolute enormous amount of combat occurring, and people will criticize our security, but we've never really lost a driver to security apart from that one time, with Lord. But they have to handle that across 13 servers, and we've never had a Daymar Rally completely ruined by an opposing pirate team or whatnot. So we feel that they're extremely successful because it is a very difficult task to do. So yeah, man, it's a whole PvP tournament happening at the same time as the rally, but we're obviously wanting to focus on the races and not the combat, so we don't point our cameras in that direction.
Right.
It's not our job. Our job is to follow the race. So you've got all that happening in the background, which is just insane. It's when I hear about and see the numbers, I'm like, wow, that must be like the biggest PvP thing to happen all year. Like
That's
it's
what I
just
always.
out
I
of
was
control.
just. I was wondering. I was like,
Yeah.
are you worried at all about that becoming a big part of the race? Is just like that there are always pirates that will come camp out and be like, let's fight.
Well, we kind of enjoy that aspect of it, and
Yeah.
security do as well, because obviously without them we wouldn't need security. Security is all about PvP as well. Like they're all PvPers from both sides. It's all about, it's all a PvP experience for both sides, pirates and our security. So we're always going to have it. It's going to get harder with server meshing because at the moment, we can party lock a server and have a bit of population control. But it's going to take a much larger force and setup to organize a server mesh protected Daymar. But at the same time, super exciting because, like I said, having like blockades set up, and they're going to have all kinds of tricks and check distant waypoints and different approaches to Daymar, and pirates are going to have to find creative ways to create new quantum points into Daymar to get in, and it's going to be a whole massive thing, dude. It's going to be insane. Like Operation Pitchfork, how they want to take on the Vandal forces when they rock up and whatnot. But I think possibly we might even have a larger PvP tournament already occurring right now every year in January. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's you don't get to see it, but everyone
No,
who's involved
really.
in PvP, everyone involved in PvP knows, and they were there. They know it. They know
Yeah.
it's occurring. So yeah,
Yeah, I've
yep,
seen it the two times that I did some coverage. I got to get into the thick of it, and it was exciting. It really
yeah,
was.
man, yeah, it's cool. Another aspect of the rally. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate everything that you've had to say about these events and the rally, and got to get you out of here soon. I know you've got some fun things planned for the weekend, but first, I wanted
oh,
to talk personally about like what you want to see in the. I don't know how much you get to play the game. I know that outside of my own content, I don't really do much in
yeah,
the game, but outside
yep.
of racing and the Daymar Rally and all that kind of stuff, what's something that you're just genuinely excited to see in the game?
I'm excited to see in the game. That's a good question. I think actually I'm actually probably going to be an industry kind of person. I think
Okay.
I finally got a Pioneer. I've been trying to get a Pioneer for 3 years. I finally got one last year, 2021. So I'm actually preparing to do a lot of base building, but at the same time, with base building, I'm actually hoping that I can do maybe my own checkpoints with that kind of structure as well, because obviously that's going to be a factor where people are going to buy plots of land. It's gonna change what we do for the rally. So
Yeah.
being an industry man and buying a lot of land probably, and trying to the other massive dream, and maybe a ridiculous dream, is buy so much land and create so many outposts that I can actually write Atmo on the side of Daymar in a large scale. So
I,
that's kind of a dream of mine as well, to do that too. I think it's a pretty big leap, but I've been in discussions with a couple of people, see if we can possibly do it, but I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to make sure that we can do it. So
I'm just imagining somebody seeing that and using it for something else that would probably get CIG to be like, nah, we're not gonna we're not gonna let that happen.
I know. I think they're gonna make it difficult, but
Yeah,
it'd be
more power
funny.
to you.
It'd be funny if we could do it. Yeah, it'd
Yeah,
be hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's cool. I
yeah.
think
So
the base building would be actually it'd be cool if you could buy that land and create just a private track almost that anybody could just come and like pay to use whenever they want.
yeah, it's another thing that could change what we do, and even just people creating their own outposts in the middle of the Daymar Rally course as well, could be a factor. Like
Hmm.
they could set up defensive outposts on our course. So
Little obstacles.
we'd have to mark them. Try teams that have to kind of learn about them and avoid them, or we'd have to maybe change the course just a little bit, like we've done in the past with Cor5air. So all that's really interesting to me, that whole side of things. So yeah, it's gonna be cool.
That's very cool. The whole idea of I think you said it best. Honestly, I like the term emergent esports and how it's going to work in like this open world environment of Star Citizen is nothing that I've ever thought would be something we'd be looking at. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool, man. We love it.
I appreciate you coming out and giving us some more information on this kind of stuff and talking to us about your thoughts. And I would love to now give you a chance to tell everybody where they might learn more about Daymar Rally or yourself, or just kind of find that content online.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. I love your work. I've always loved your work. We've never really had a chance to connect, so it's really good to sit down and have a chat with you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we get to have a beer or something at some point. I can actually ask you about what you do as well. I don't have a podcast, but yeah. So the Daymar Rally is on the 15th of January, starting at about 1700 UTC. So come check that out. That's happening very, very soon. You can go to atmo.gg, so atmo.gg. We've got all of our tournament links there. A little bit of news, but if you need to register for any other events, you can do it all from that central hub and go to each website and check it all out. That's the best way. Our Twitter is extremely popular. Join our guild if you want like regular pings on notifications, because that is important. We do a lot of notifications as far as how your confirmation process goes and registration and rules and anything you need to know. That's a really good place to be. We have our Discord as well. Everything kind of gets duplicated if it's important news. You can still, if you're in Discord, you can still be a part of that and get the important pings on our news. But if you really want to hear up-to-date info, yeah, Twitter is extremely large. It's got upwards of 250,000 connections per month. So jump on there and you'll get up-to-date information. But yeah, atmo.gg is your central hub.
Cool. Yeah, they're all over Twitter. I see the tweets. I like the info, and that's how I see most of the branding stuff that I tell you about. It's like I saw you guys, were putting up stuff about the security going out this morning, and I like that.
Another
cool.
big part of my job. Yeah. Like I do a lot of the art, and then Christian kind of handles the social content. So we work together as a team to do that. I love it. It's fun.
You guys do a phenomenal job at that, to be honest.
Yeah, Crew's good, man. He has a background in that space, so he really understands it very well. So it's very beneficial having him on the team. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, for anybody who's listening, whether on the audio format, whether you're on Spotify or Apple Pocket Casts, whatever your favorite outlet is, or if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to put it down in your calendar. By the time you're seeing this, the Daymar Rally will be the weekend of. So in the next few days, you can head over to Twitch or wherever it might be getting broadcasted and check it out. I will personally be there. I won't be doing any streams, I don't think, but I'll be recording and put out a video later on to show everybody what was happening, and another one, an exclusive one for the supporters. But definitely check it out. That again is happening next weekend. You said January 15th, correct?
Yep, correct, man.
Cool,
Yep.
cool. Well, that about wraps it up for everybody. I would like to finish off by plugging myself. Of course, you get this podcast, but I'm also putting out videos weekly on YouTube. I have 2 YouTube channels, both of which are putting out public and exclusive content that goes out to my supporters. We just redid the Patreon, so if you'd like to support this stuff, it helps a ton, as we are currently living off of this as a family. And we have a website, which is a active blog. I just put out a new post talking about the year in review in 2021. We do other stuff, so definitely check out that website as well, spacetomatogaming.com. But overall, I just appreciate everybody who's here to listen to the podcast. So without further ado, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Corsair, once again, thanks for being a guest, and we'll catch you next week.